Zack Reynolds alongside Luke Hamilton and Oilers head coach Rob Murray for this week's edition of the Virtual Coaches Show. You already up there in Rapid City for a three-game week starting tonight, and then also Friday, Saturday. So not quite a 3-3, 3-4, but maybe let's look back a little bit to last week, and especially for us, the game against Wheeling, the most recent game. We weren't able to see it, so we were just listening. Can you maybe give us just a general breakdown of how that game went? Obviously, you came away with a win, and that gets points in three straight.
It was similar to Thursday night's game, quite honestly. Like, I thought Wheeling came out really well in the first period. We had trouble with their forecheck. Like, we were hemmed in our zone, just kind of like on Thursday. Yet we were able to come out of both periods down a goal, and just kept it reasonable, right? And Willie played well, Durney played well. Like, both goalies played very well in both games, and I feel like in both games we kind of got better as the game went along. And Friday night was no different than Thursday night. It was kind of a carbon copy, obviously. We took a penalty late, and but the game-winning goal, it was very refreshing to see where actually the tying goal, Brooks's goal, and then Moynihan's game-winning goal. From a coach's standpoint, there's a couple things that I've been preaching, and you're not going to perhaps score every time or get a good opportunity. But one of the things that we preached earlier in the season was to take advantage of an icing. And when what happens is that, as we all know, the defending team cannot change. So the idea is to try to get them tired and stuck in their own zone. Well, a lot of times players in general will kind of congregate and skate up the ice and talk about what they're going to do on the faceoff. Well, while this is going on, you're allowing the defending team to kind of regroup, And so what we've really been pushing, or I pushed this year, is that we get into the faceoff right away. Because as soon as we're set up, they have to be set up. Mm-hmm. And so that paid off for us on Brooks's goal, where they iced it. We did that exact thing. A little thing that we've been working on in practice that where Danny scored his goal, just a little play that I asked the guys to attempt or try if you could, and sure enough, we scored the winning goal on it. I'm not taking all the credit for it. I'm just saying that, sometimes, as I said, you can draw up plays, you can draw up, like, it's not gonna work 100% of the time, but maybe that 1% of the time wins you a game on occasion. I felt that Friday night maybe was the reason for that. Overall, though, I thought we played a good game. Probably, as I said, the first two periods, the first period of both games, we weren't as sharp as maybe we needed to be, and they kind of took it to us. But we kept the game close, and we kept clawing back and getting the win.
It's a really good point to make, because if we get a chance to kind of look back at the beginning of this road trip, against Kansas City, you talk about not everything always ends up falling your way, even though you're putting yourself in the right spot. You mentioned a little bit in that Kansas City game was a game that certainly could have been won, and there's a lot of things to build off of, is what you talked about, sort of going into those next two games against Wheeling. And you kind of look at the first period in that first game against Wheeling, a little bit of a microcosm of what happened against Indy, maybe at home, where played well enough to go into that second period with a lead, but found yourself down 2-1. Talk about a little bit of that response mid-game, how important that second frame can be, and how important it really was in this road trip so far.
Well, the one thing, Luke, that you can't look past is getting Danny Moynihan and Charlie Sampere back in the lineup. Now, it's only two bodies, but they've made a world of difference, and not only by their play individually, but the ability for me to kind of have a structured line set where you can depend on every line to do what they need to do. But we did do things well there in Kansas City, and rolling in. But unfortunately, rolling in the Wheeling on Thursday, I'm looking at the stat pack, and we're averaging 1.8 goals a night, you know, and it's not good enough. Like it really isn't. So, you know, we get the 4 on Thursday night, we get 3 on Friday. We're not filling the net, but we scored on our opportunities, you know, and we got a puck luck goal. Like Brooks's goal, I'm not sure. Again, you guys didn't see it, but it was off of the hurry up face off, and the puck came back to Pleshkash. He was in the slot right off the draw. Danny pulled it back to him. He shot it, and the Wheeling player blocked it, and then it bounced right to Brooks, and he just pounded it. And we all thought it might have went off Charlie in front. Charlie's not sure whether it did or not, but I'm telling you, it hit something, and it went in. Whereas we have been in this you know, conundrum, or this just a situation where we have not got those bounces, you know, and that was one of those that you know, hit something. And I asked Charlie the other day whether it hit him or not, and he wasn't even sure. Like he said, it might have. I can't. And I said, we don't have video to go back and submit it to the league if it definitely hit you. And he really didn't even know. So, but our ability to continue to keep other teams below, you know, let's say 2-3 goals a night continues. Like, you know, defensively, we're playing a good game. And that kind of started, I think, not started, but for the most part, we played a pretty solid defensive game all year, just have not been able to score. So we get a couple more goals, and it just, you know, it made the difference in the Wheeling games, that's for sure. And we can build off of that. Maybe a couple of guys get a little bit more confidence. You know, we're still looking for a couple of guys to really break out. You know, you look at a guy like Matt Lane, and Matt Lane he doesn't come advertised as a guy that's going to score 50 goals, yet he's a guy that in his ECHL career has been a half a point a game guy. And right now, Matt Lane does not have a goal. And, you know, that's starting to be a little bit concerning, outside of the fact that I know in my heart he's going to break out. Like it's just going to happen. And then once he gets going, and then, you know, Justin Taylor kind of follows suit, like we'll get our, you know, we're gonna get going here as far as on the offensive side of the game. And then one of the things that I've been belly aching about to you guys about our defensemen not scoring, and you know, we get a goal by Mike McKee on Thursday, we get a goal by Alex Brooks on Friday. Cockrell had a goal, you know, so we got that made a difference too. Getting some production from our defensive crew on the score sheet made a big difference in the game.
You mentioned that, in fact, the 3 goals in those 2 games were more than the team had from the blue line in the first 19 games before that. So, like as you mentioned, huge to get that. A player that, you know, has scored a fair share and has played very well offensively, you know, has 3 goals this year, is Brent Gates. We were listening, you know, saw him, that he was put on the reserve and that he had to leave the game. You know, what was kind of the scenario with that, and maybe what is it that you're looking to do to replace or, you know, kind of supplement the scoring that, you know, leaves the lineup with him leaving?
Well, honestly, nothing. I mean, and by committee, really. I mean, you know, we have to. So Gatesy took a hit. It was I'd say about 4 minutes left in the game. It was right in front of our players box, and he got a hit to the head, and you know, he left the game. Didn't come back. As I said, it was only 4 minutes to go as it was. And so he's just not available to us this week. Like I don't think it's anything that's going to keep him out. And we have not deemed it a you know, let's call it an upper body injury above the neck, upper body injury. And so it hasn't been deemed that yet. He didn't make the trip. The other guy that I moved to the reserve, Darby Llewellyn, same idea. He twisted his knee. He's not long-term yet, would not have been, I guess, wouldn't have brought any value to these 3 games here because he'd be hobbling pretty good. So those 2 guys did not make the road trip. The guy that didn't make the road trip to Wheeling, Conlon Keenan's here. You know, he'll play tonight. So going into tonight's game, we got 10 forwards and 7 defensemen dressed. And the only extra guy that we brought along that's not playing tonight is J.C. Broussard, and again another defenseman. So we're traveling with 10 forwards and 8 defensemen right now. So no different than any other year. You know, I know we make reference to that a lot, where that's how we usually play with 10 forwards. So I'm not concerned about it. We had Broussard play forward the other day in practice, and as we know. You know, Mike McKee can always go up front if he has to.
And you kind of talk about a guy leaving the lineup like that. It allows other guys to maybe move up, mix up the lines even a little bit. Is there a guy maybe you're looking at that you really want to take on a little bit more responsibility in the scoring area? You know, you get a guy like Conlon Keenan that gets to travel here on the road trip. Is there something maybe in him that you really can see a lot of potential in, and really pushing him to take on some more responsibility? Just with the chances that we've seen from him already, sort of being in the right spot at the pro level, it sometimes can be difficult to adjust to, but he seemed to find the spots where he needs to be. He just hasn't quite hit the back of the net yet.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that he's a good example. Like, you know, he didn't make the road trip to Wheeling, and getting a chance to jump in the lineup here, you know, you want him to take advantage of his opportunity. You know, maybe another guy like Greg Burmaster is going to play with Lane and Taylor tonight. You know, Burmy's been very consistent all year, yet given the opportunity to play with a couple of guys that should bring offense, you know, hopefully he complements those guys in that department. So, you know, I think we can't hang our hat on Danny Moynihan, Pleshkash, Samper scoring every night. Yet we've seen it around the league. I mean, every team has their top line, and in order for your team to have success, your top line has to produce, and we've gotten that out of those guys. Now, again, we need to trickle it down. You know, McNulty, you know, everybody really, I mean, has to step up. But as you said with Conlon, like, you know, he has had his chances, and getting back to Matt Lane. I mean, Matt Lane in my eyes could score 2 goals a night if he could, you know, pick a corner, or, you know, he gets his chances. And I've always told players through the years that when they're struggling, there is concern if you're not getting chances. You know, it's one thing if you're not getting any chances, you just can't get to the net. That's it's just not going to happen for you. If you're getting your chances and on a consistent basis, it's eventually going to, like I said, it's going to break open, and you're going to find a way to score. So, guy like Lane, McNulty, Burmaster, you know, even Taylor, like, you know, these guys they've got to kind of fill the void of Brent Gates going out of the lineup, and even a Darby Llewellyn. I mean, you know, Darby brings a different type of game, yet, you know, we're kind of short on that, to be quite honest with you. I mean, so to kind of piggyback on that, so now you've got Tyler Colburn that's going to play some more minutes tonight. And, you know, we need him to bring the physicality that he can, that we're losing with Darby Llewellyn out of the lineup.
Looking at, you know, some special teams with Rapid City in particular, you know, we've seen them have a very aggressive penalty kill in the past. It's struggling a bit this year, sitting 11th in the league. But in the last game they played against India, speaking with Mark Benetti, they had back-to-back 5-on-3s in the game and only allowed 1 shot on goal during that. You know, do they kind of run the same penalty kill from what you've seen as they have in years past with the aggressive look? And, you know, is that something that I think they went I think it was last year, they went 50 straight penalties, or, you know, penalty kills without conceding a goal. And, you know, it was your team that snapped that. So, you know, is that something that you're looking at, you know, with your power play, maybe matching up well against a penalty kill that historically has had some good success against teams?
Well, I think anytime you play against an aggressive penalty kill, the key is to move the puck quick. And if you don't, then that's where you're going to get yourself in trouble. The one systematic thing that I've noticed with Rapid City this year compared to even last year, they're not as aggressive on the entries, and when when we're crossing the blue line, they haven't been as aggressive as in past, and that was where we had a lot of trouble just even getting in their zone last season because they did such a good job of closing us off at the blue. And so that's something that maybe it's I don't know if he's changed it or different personnel, or I couldn't speak to what Tetro's doing in Rapid City yet. Anytime you have an aggressive forecheck, penalty kill, as I said, you move the puck quick, and just by numbers, just by addition and subtraction, like, you're going to get a good look at the net. So it's basically, it becomes a onus on us to make sure, knowing that you're not going to have time. And I think that power play players in general, they lull themselves into this casualness that, oh, I'm on the power play, I can stand here with the puck. Well, then you get all of a sudden against a team that's playing a little more aggressive, and it catches you off guard. So if you know it's coming, you got to move the puck. And for the most part, in hockey terms, you got to move the puck to the weak side. It's, you got to go from one side to the other, be it around the, over the top or behind the net or whatever you need to do. It has the point of attack needs to change. And in order to do that, again, the puck's got to move, and the puck's got to move quick.
You kind of going back a little bit then to just sort of talk about the penalty kill and the power play in Wheeling. It was just a unique situation, such a small neutral zone like we talked about. And of course, some shorthanded goals have been scored quite a bit, with Wheeling, and even us getting our first shorthanded goal. Talk a little bit about how that changes things with changing the point of attack quickly. And then also, you don't have Brent Gates on that right circle now on the power play, who's pretty good at staying patient, taking his time and finding the open man. It's just got to change kind of everything. And then you have to be responsible on your back check as well.
Well, we practiced on Monday, and we did quite a bit of power play. So with Gates out, there's a couple of new units per se. And it's just, I think, like, I've liked our power play. I've liked the looks that we've got from day one, really. I mean, just our percentage isn't that great. But the difference in Wheeling and here, yeah, maybe. I mean, it's, the neutral zone is what it is in Wheeling, which is tiny. And but I don't know that it made much of a difference as far as the way the game was played, as far as the penalty kill went. Charlie's shorthanded goal was a breakaway from the blue line in. Their shorthanded goal was a 2-on-1. So, you get your opportunities on the penalty kill a lot. I mean, you just don't score shorthanded goals all the time. And as you said, that was our first of the season. Whereas in past years, we've had, by this time of the year, we've had obviously more than one. I can't speak to how many, what we had, but we definitely had more than one. But it's a good way to obviously add to the offensive side of it. And a guy like Charlie, a guy like, when Jack Bedini was here earlier, like, you could catch a team because of your speed and take advantage of it. So special teams is going to play a big part in every game. And our penalty kill has been strong. As I said, I'd like to see our power play percentage start to creep up. Yet, it is what it is, but we continually work on it, and it'll get better and better, hopefully, as we move along.
You putting a look now onto the whole scenery. Last 3 games, you picked up points, back-to-back wins after the 9-game skid. And do you think that there's something to say about confidence? It's always great to pick up that first win, but to go and then get the second one, kind of get that chain, and then looking back at it, yeah, losing in overtime to Kansas City, but did pick up a point. And so in the last 6 possible points, you got 5 of them. Do you think that maybe kind of changes the dynamic of the locker room when, you can say, hey, it wasn't a fluke. I mean, we won back-to-back here now.
Well, it was, you could feel the difference in the attitude. I mean, coming out of Wheeling after the 2 wins, we had the way we traveled there was we flew into Pittsburgh and bused to Wheeling, which was about an hour trip. And then obviously leaving an hour back to Pittsburgh and to get on the plane. So you could definitely feel that different attitude, that jovialness on the bus, going back or coming back to Tulsa, and then the flights that we had. So it is a confidence thing. It's a swagger. I've used that word multiple times in our shows here. You know, you get your confidence, you get that feel that when I talk to you guys about when you start losing and losing consistently, you forget how to win, and you forget that feeling almost. And then once you get it again, you got to ride that wave, and don't allow yourself to take a step back and think that, oh, now it's going to be easy again. Like, you know, these wins, the point that we got in Kansas City was hard fought. Those 2 wins in Wheeling, they were hard fought wins. I mean, nobody's given you points in this league this year, or any year for that matter. So, you know, we have to, we got to make sure that we take advantage of that swagger that hopefully we've got and continue this week here in Rapid City.
Alluding to it in the past, you've talked about it too, the kind of the novelty of home can wear off if you're sitting there for a while. You mentioned it with your time in Alaska as well. Do you think maybe getting on the road for a little bit after a long home stretch where things, you know, didn't fall your way with the bounces a lot of the time, do you think going on to the road maybe helped a little bit? Just, you know, getting away from the building, playing somewhere else, and then realizing, hey, we're going to get to go home again here soon?
Yeah, in hindsight, I can say it was good. I mean, you know, and we got our 2 wins in Wheeling, and looking to get more wins here in Rapid City. But, you know, we had a quick turnover. We got back on Saturday late. We had Sunday off, Super Bowl Sunday off, and then we practiced Monday, and then we flew out again yesterday morning. So we weren't in town very long. There actually was talk at one point where we were gonna come straight here from Wheeling. That just didn't serve, or we just didn't get that done. And I don't think it was, quite honestly, I don't want you don't want to be in the same city. Like, that would have put us here for 8 days, mm-hmm. You know, like, so, it's not conducive to, again, sleeping in your own bed, even be it for a couple of nights, you know. So, but to answer your question, Zach, I'm getting off track. Yeah, I mean, it's in hindsight, it is. It's great to get on the road and get some wins and kind of, you know, get that bonding of the team, you know, on the road where we're all together all the time. Although at home, due to circumstances, you know, we're around each other quite a bit at home too. But it's a different feel on the road, and maybe the pressure. You know, there is. You know, we talked about what it's like, or the ability to win at home, and why is that? Why do teams win more at home than they do on the road? Well, it's just the way it is. Yet on the road, you know, the kind of the catchphrase when I played was always the pressure's on them. You know, like, they're at home, they have to perform. We just, you know, we got to show up and play a good game. And so maybe a little bit of the pressure of being at home and not winning and allowing that pressure to kind of build allowed us to get on the road and maybe relax a little bit and play a stronger game.
You talked a little bit about, you know, just getting that ice time, you know, away from game reps, of course, you know, how important that is for a team, especially when you've got some things that you were wanting to talk about with this group and to lock down. And we're starting to see that, you know, come together, and just getting into Rapid and, you know, getting the guys on the ice this morning and things like that. You know, how important is it to sort of just trying to keep your consistency even in practice and make sure you're, you know, thinking about the right things, preparing yourself the same way, you know, so that you don't fall back into any essential habits that we saw, you know, late in games, you could say, during the 9-game stretch.
Well, we were able, as I said, we were able to get on the ice on Monday. We had a good practice. We actually did skate once we got in here yesterday. We got in at about 3:30, and we had ice from 4:15 to 5:15. So by the time we were able to get the gear here and get on the ice, we only had about 15-20 minutes to get out there, but I think that was plenty. And we had a couple of hiccups with our travel. So 4 guys actually had to take a later flight yesterday. So we only had 16 guys on the ice once we got here. Regardless of that, we got our ability to just get out there and break a sweat. And then this morning's pregame skate, it's again, I think to your point, it's back to consistency where, we had a practice. We had the ability to get on the ice yesterday. We had our pregame skate, whereas 2 weeks ago, all we were doing was pregame skates. We had no practice as well. We had no coaches. I mean, there was no ability to even coach. So,
right.
So it does lend to what a hockey player needs, and it's something I know as a player, as a coach, that I kind of lean on more and more is consistency. I always joke to guys, because if you're at home on a pregame skate, you're on the ice at 10. If you're on the road, it's 11:15. I can't tell you how many guys ask me what time pregame skate is. And my answer to them is the same it's been for 30 years. You know what I mean? So that you talk about consistency. Like when I played, I started in the late 80s pro hockey. It was 10 o'clock, 11:15 then. You know what I mean? It hasn't changed. And that's, hockey players they're a consistent animal. They need that. And I think sports in general, everything's regimented. And I've seen studies where teams will try to throw the body clock off. My friend Dallas Aikens, who's coaching in Anaheim now, I remember when he was in Edmonton, he would practice at 8 in the morning one day, and then 2 o'clock the next day, and then noon the next, I don't know what he was trying to accomplish, but, I know coaches have tinkered with that. I'm old school. You know what I mean? We're on the ice at the same time every day. Guys know their routine. They know when to get to the rink. They know when to be on the ice, and we run with it.
And we've talked about this before too. Willie, amongst the best goaltenders in this league, if not the best. And, he was able to pick up his first win of the year. He played well in those other games. It just, wasn't falling his way with goals going the other way. Do you think that maybe helps the confidence with him a little bit, or, it's got to feel good for him to get his first win, even though he knew he was playing well. And, he's not a guy that's really going to be rattled because he's been to this level and he knows what he can do, but always nice to pick up a win, huh?
Well, very, very inconsistent for Willie not to have had a win yet. And as you said, it wasn't his fault. The game previous to Friday night, he lost 1-0. He was, and I can honestly say we threw him to the wolves against Allen on that Sunday, and I knew it. I was just my thought process was that if somehow Willie could stand on his head, maybe we'd have a chance that day. That goes back to when we had all our guys out, and I was out, and Zach was out, and so kind of threw him to the wolves that day. That's a throwaway game for me. He has been just as good as he's always been. And, I think that his game really showed that in Wheeling on Friday. I like our tandem right now. I like the way both these guys are playing. As long as we can keep playing a good defensive game, our goalies are playing well, which I think Roman and Devin are. It always gives us a chance to win, or gives us a chance to compete in every game. And it all goes hand in hand. If you get poor goaltending, it's not easy to win. And I think overall, we have had that opportunity from our goaltenders, regardless of who's played, to win every night. Yet, we just haven't got that done. And so I think those guys definitely back to the consistency. If you know your goaltenders are going to be consistent and give you a good game night after night. And I think Devin is a guy that's, what is he now? 1 in 4, 1 in 5 or whatever. Again, very uncharacteristic for him at this point of the season to only have had one win. But it's not of concern to me because I know of his abilities and I know how well he's played this season regardless.
I think that'll just about do it for this one. If do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm good. Happy Valentine's Day. Not to you guys. All right.
Everybody else out there.
Everybody else out there.
But alrighty, well, we'll catch up with you here, I guess, in a couple more hours for the pregame as well.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Coach.